The night sky cracked with violent streaks of crimson light as Eveline's scream cut through the battlefield. She reached for Kael, her chest burning with desperation as Lord Malrik's soldiers dragged him toward the shadows. Eveline said, "Don't leave me, not again." Kael's eyes locked with hers, his jaw clenched, and he whispered, "The curse won't win this time." The ground split beneath them, fire and smoke rising as centuries of sorrow echoed in her veins. Every heartbeat felt stolen, each breath a plea against fate. The air shimmered with magic, violent and unyielding, tearing at her soul. Eveline's tears burned as they fell, the world around her collapsing in chaos. She stumbled forward, but her body refused her will. Malrik's cruel smile gleamed in the red light, his voice slithering. "Love dies tonight." Eveline's hand trembled in the air, reaching for Kael, but all she grasped was smoke and silence. Eveline stumbled across the broken earth, her chest heaving with sobs that refused to quiet. She whispered, "Every life, every ending, it always begins like this." Kael's absence gnawed at her heart, the bond between them fraying into silence. Rowan appeared behind her, his young face pale with fear, voice trembling. "You can't follow him, you'll be taken too." Eveline shook her head, fury burning through her grief. "If I don't, he dies alone. And so do I." The night groaned under the weight of magic, ruins glowing faintly around them. Rowan clenched his fists, torn between terror and loyalty. A howl rose from the distance, carried on burning winds. Eveline's resolve hardened. Destiny had stolen enough, and she refused to kneel to its cruelty. Master Arion stood at the edge of the ruins, his staff glowing faintly in the stormlight. His voice was calm yet heavy. "The curse binds you both, Eveline. It feeds on your love and grows with every lifetime." Eveline turned to him, rage burning through her grief. "Then tell me how to break it, or I will tear the world apart until I do." Arion's silver hair fluttered in the wind, his face lined with sorrow. He said, "Breaking it means sacrifice, one neither of you may survive." Eveline's jaw tightened as she whispered, "Then let fate tremble, because I will not." Kael's absence bled through her veins, every heartbeat a reminder that time was running short. Kael fought against the soldiers, every step dragging him closer to Malrik's fortress. Chains cut into his wrists, but he refused to bow. His voice was rough, "You can break my body, but you will not take my soul." Malrik walked beside him, amused by Kael's defiance, and replied coldly, "Your soul is precisely what I desire." Shadows whispered against the walls as Kael's strength faltered, crimson sparks crackling across his veins. His mind replayed Eveline's face, her emerald eyes seared into his memory. He swore to survive, not for himself, but for her. The curse had stolen them too many times, and he would not surrender to it again. The winds shifted, carrying whispers of old promises across the battlefield. Eveline touched the cracked ground, her fingertips glowing faintly as magic stirred beneath her skin. She murmured, "Kael, I feel you, even now." Rowan crouched beside her, eyes wide with fear. "Eveline, what are you doing? That power will consume you." She clenched her hand, sparks of silver dancing between her fingers, and answered, "Then let it. If the curse feeds on love, I will turn love into fire." The ruins trembled, ancient stones pulsing with her touch. The choice was no longer survival. It was war against fate itself, and she would wield every ounce of her heart's power to reclaim Kael. Eveline stood among the ruins as dawn crept across the horizon, her eyes swollen from tears but burning with determination. She whispered, "Kael's spirit calls to me. I will not rest until he is free." Rowan shifted uneasily beside her, muttering, "You speak of chasing shadows while enemies gather strength." She clenched her fists, sparks of silver flickering between her fingers as if her heart bled into the world. Master Arion approached, leaning on his staff, his voice stern yet sorrowful. "Your love is a beacon. It will draw him to you, but it will also draw death." Eveline raised her chin, defiance glowing in her emerald eyes. "Then let death come, for I would rather fall fighting than wait in silence." Nisrichon Banadan Tuntil. Tersaguri and Partugan weight. The weight of her vow pressed into the air, as the world itself seemed to pause at her words. Kael was dragged deep into the fortress corridors, chains rattling against cold stone floors. His breaths came sharp and heavy, each step an act of defiance. Malrik's laughter echoed in the darkness, his voice cutting like a blade. Every lifetime you fail, this one will be no different. Kael spat blood, replying hoarsely, I would rather die 1,000 times than surrender her. The torches flickered with unnatural light, shadows twisting into monstrous shapes. Malrik leaned close, his smile chilling. And die you shall, until even she forgets your name. Kael's storm-gray eyes flared with rage, as silver sparks ran down his veins. The curse was devouring him, but still, he clung to Eveline's memory, his only anchor in the endless night. In the ruined temple beyond the battlefield, Eveline traced ancient runes etched into stone, her fingers trembling as silver light followed her touch. Rowan said anxiously, "This place is cursed. We shouldn't be here." Master Arion's gaze was heavy, his voice quiet but commanding. The curse began here, and only here can you uncover its truth. Eveline closed her eyes, hearing faint echoes of forgotten lifetimes. A woman's scream. A man's dying vow. Her voice cracked. I've lived this before. I've lost him before. Rowan swallowed hard, his fear giving way to awe, as the walls glowed faintly under Eveline's magic. The air thickened, whispers rising like ghosts. The truth pressed against her soul. This was no accident, but a cycle woven by fate itself. Kael was thrown into a dark chamber, chains locking him to stone pillars. His chest rose and fell with labored breaths, but his eyes still burned with defiance. Across the chamber stood Dorian, once his ally, now cloaked in shadows. Kael's voice was sharp. You betray us again, old friend. Dorian's lips curled in a bitter smile. Betrayal or survival? I chose the only path left. The torchlight revealed scars across his face, each one a memory of choices that had broken him. Kael's voice softened for a moment. You still have a soul. Do not let Malrik devour it. Dorian's eyes flickered with conflict, then hardened into steel. A soul means nothing when love is already ash. Eveline knelt before the cracked altar in the temple, her hands pressed against cold stone as tears fell. She whispered, Kael, wherever you are, I will find you. Silver sparks flowed from her palms, igniting the runes in a brilliant cascade of light. Rowan shielded his eyes, gasping, You'll burn yourself alive. Arion stood firm, his face grim. She must endure, or the truth will stay buried. Eveline's body trembled as visions surged through her. Kael bound in chains, Dorian's conflicted stare, Malrik's hand dripping with shadows. She screamed, her voice carrying across worlds, I will not lose him again. The temple shook violently, dust falling from its ancient roof, as the bond between her heart and Kael's flared brighter than destiny itself. Eveline pressed through the storm-torn forest, silver sparks flickering along her fingertips as whispers of unseen voices followed her. Rowan hurried at her side, fear twisting his expression. You're pushing too far, Eveline. She snapped back. The curse pushes harder. I will not break before it does. The trees groaned under the weight of violent winds, branches splintering overhead. Master Arion trailed behind, his staff glowing faintly, his voice edged with warning. The forest bends to Malrik's magic. Every step here is watched. Eveline's emerald eyes flashed with fury. Then let him watch me defy him. The air thickened, a presence coiling unseen, as if the woods themselves held their breath. Kael strained against his chains as Dorian lingered in the shadows, his amber eyes burning with unspoken conflict. Kael growled, You were once my brother, why stand against me now? Dorian's voice carried a hollow weight, because love turned me into ruin, and I won't watch it claim you too. Kael spat blood, glaring with defiance. Love is the only reason I fight. The silence between them burned hotter than fire, each word a blade sharpened by regret. Dorian turned away, yet his hands trembled as he gripped the hilt of his blade. The fortress groaned as magic pulsed through its walls. chains glowing red as the curse sank deeper into Kael's veins. The forest path opened into a clearing where mist curled around broken stones. Eveline felt a shift, her body tense, when Seraphina stepped forward, her form sliding from shadow into flesh. The shapeshifter's voice was smooth, laced with mischief. "You wander too close to secrets best left buried." Rowan's hand flew to his dagger, muttering, "She cannot be trusted." Eveline stood her ground, eyes narrowed, then let her prove her loyalty. Seraphina's amber eyes glimmered as her lips curved. "Loyalty is fluid, like the skin I wear. But perhaps tonight it favors you." Sparks of unease rippled through the clearing as mist thickened, turning every breath heavy with suspicion. Malrik stood atop the fortress balcony, eyes scanning the crimson-lit horizon. His voice was smooth, carrying venom. "The pieces move closer to my hand. Soon love will choke them both." Below, Kael strained against the pull of the curse, silver veins glowing brighter with each heartbeat. Malrik raised a hand, crimson magic flaring into the night, connecting his will to Eveline's distant flame. He whispered with chilling certainty, "Let her burn, and through her, I will claim him." The wind howled, carrying sparks of red across the sky like embers from a dying fire. Kael's roar echoed through the chambers, his soul refusing to bow even as his body trembled under the curse's weight. Eveline staggered as heat scorched through her veins, the bond surging like fire. Rowan caught her arm, alarmed. "You're burning alive." She gasped, clutching her chest. "It's Kael. He's in pain." Seraphina's gaze sharpened, lips curling with intrigue. "The bond makes you vulnerable, and it makes you powerful." Master Arion's voice was grave, "But every surge draws Malrik closer. You are a beacon, Eveline, and beacons burn bright until they're extinguished." Eveline's face twisted with agony, yet she forced her spine straight, whispering through clenched teeth, "Then I will burn if it leads me back to him." The clearing quaked, sparks scattering as though the world itself shuddered at her defiance. Eveline's body trembled as visions poured from the altar, showing lifetimes lived and lost. She gasped. It was always him, every life, every death. Rowan staggered back, whispering, "You mean this curse has followed you forever?" Her hands shook as silver light burned into her skin, faces of past selves flickering in her eyes. Master Arion's voice was heavy with sorrow. "Your souls are bound, Eveline. Death cannot part you, but neither can life grant you peace." Eveline's breath hitched, anger boiling beneath grief. "Then this curse is not fate, it is a chain, and chains can be broken." The temple shuddered as her vow etched itself into the ancient stone. In the fortress chamber, Kael gasped as silver fire surged through his veins, visions of Eveline flashing before him. He shouted hoarsely, "Eveline, I see you!" Malrik's cold laugh echoed. "Then watch her burn as you do." Kael thrashed against the chains, sparks exploding, but the runes on the walls tightened their grip. Dorian turned away, his face shadowed, muttering, "This curse devours love, not preserves it." Kael's eyes locked on him, voice filled with fury and plea. "Then why does it still bind me? Because love endures." Dorian froze, amber eyes flickering with conflict as Malrik's smirk widened in cruel satisfaction. Seraphina circled Eveline in the clearing, her golden eyes gleaming. She murmured, "Do you know why Malrik cannot kill you? Because the curse feeds on love. It needs you alive and aching." Eveline's voice cracked. "Then I am his weapon?" Seraphina smirked, her form flickering between shadow and flesh. "You are his prize, and his prison. That is why you must choose to bend, or to break." Rowan stepped between them, dagger drawn. "She will never bend." Seraphina tilted her head, amused, then prepared to shatter. "Little hero." Eveline's breath shook, realization dawning that every kiss, every touch with Kael had been fuel for their endless torment. Dorian stood alone in the fortress courtyard, staring at his reflection in a pool of rainwater. His voice broke in a whisper. "Once I swore to protect her." Kael, chained nearby, lifted his head with effort, saying, "Then protect her now. It's not too late." Dorian's jaw clenched as memories surged. Eveline's laughter, her trust, and the moment he lost it all to Malrik's lies. Shadows curled at the edges of his reflection, his eyes darkened with guilt. Malrik's voice pierced the night. "Do not forget who gave you purpose, Dorian." The scarred man trembled, caught between chains of loyalty and love that refused to die. Eveline collapsed against the altar, breath ragged as visions consumed her. She saw Kael dying in countless lives, her own screams echoing through centuries. She cried, "It has always ended this way." Master Arion's voice trembled. "Yes, but perhaps the truth has been twisted. A curse can bind, but it can also be undone." Eveline's emerald eyes widened, realization sparking like wildfire. She whispered, "The curse is not just punishment, it is a bond. And bonds can be turned to power." Rowan grasped her shoulder, voice urgent. "Then you must wield it before it consumes you both." Eveline rose slowly, her hands blazing silver, her heart burning with new resolve. The temple floor cracked open as Eveline's silver flames surged, casting jagged beams across the ruins. She cried, "Kael, I feel your chains. I will shatter them." Rowan shielded his face, shouting over the roar, "You'll tear yourself apart." Master Arion steadied his staff, his voice grim. "The bond is awakening, but it hungers for balance. To wield it, you must accept both love and loss." Eveline's hands burned with light, tears streaking her dirt-stained cheeks as she whispered, "Then I will take them both for him." The temple rumbled violently, dust falling as ancient walls groaned under the weight of awakened power. Kael strained against glowing chains as the fortress floor shook, silver sparks erupting from his chest. He roared, "Eveline, I hear you." Malrik's smirk faltered for the first time, his voice sharp. "The bond awakens too soon." He thrust his hands upward, crimson fire twisting into a storm above. Dorian staggered back, clutching his head as conflicting visions tore at him. Kael's veins burned like molten silver, his voice breaking. "Every life you've stolen, every death you forced, we rise again." The chamber cracked, shadows recoiling from the surge. Malrik's cold eyes narrowed, but for a heartbeat, Kael felt hope pierce the curse. The forest clearing twisted into chaos as Seraphina's form split into shadows, her voice echoing, "Choose your allies carefully, Eveline, for betrayal wears many faces." Eveline steadied herself, fire in her eyes. "Then show me yours." Rowan's dagger gleamed as he muttered, "We should end her now." Seraphina smirked, golden eyes glinting. "End me, and you lose the key to his freedom." Eveline's voice trembled but did not waver. "If you want me to trust you, then prove it." The shapeshifter's shadowy form flickered with unease, as if torn between lies and loyalty. The air trembled, heavy with both danger and possibility. Dorian paced in the fortress courtyard, his armor rattling as thunder cracked above. His voice shook. "Every choice I made brought me here, chained by my own betrayal." Kael lifted his head, speaking through clenched teeth. "Then break the chains now, before they consume you too." Dorian's amber eyes flickered, his grip tightening on his sword. Malrik's voice boomed from the balcony. "Do not forget, Dorian, it was love that damned you. Serve me, and you remain free." Dorian trembled, torn between Malrik's command and Kael's plea, his soul fraying under the weight of both loyalty and regret. Eveline's knees buckled as silver fire seared her veins, visions of Kael's suffering clawing through her chest. Rowan grabbed her arm, voice frantic. "You'll kill yourself," she hissed. "If I stop, he dies." Arion's tone was grim. "Power without control is ruin, Eveline." She pushed his words aside, screaming, "Then let ruin come." Her body flared with light, the bond erupting into a beacon across realms. For a heartbeat, Kael's voice echoed inside her, faint but fierce. "I'm with you." Eveline's tears glistened as her pain twisted into resolve. Destiny was no longer a chain. It was a weapon she would wield. Storm clouds ripped apart as Eveline and Rowan stood at the gates of Malrik's fortress, silver light pulsing from her hands. Rowan whispered, "This is madness." She replied through gritted teeth, "Madness is letting him win." Lightning split the sky, illuminating towers cloaked in crimson fire. Arion placed his staff against the ground, his voice solemn. "Every step you take now writes the end of this curse." Eveline raised her chin, fury and love burning in her emerald eyes. "Then let it end tonight." The ground shook as the gates groaned open, the scent of smoke and blood spilling into the storm. Heralding the battle none could escape. Inside the fortress, Kael ripped against his chains as Eveline's light pierced the walls, flooding him with strength. He shouted, "She's here!" Malrik's face darkened, his hand rising to conjure crimson flame. "Then let her die here too." Dorian stood between them, his sword trembling, torn by loyalty and grief. Kael's storm-gray eyes locked on him. "This is your last chance to fight for her, not against her." Dorian's breath shook, his scarred face twisting as memories surged. Malrik's voice coiled like a serpent. "She never loved you, and she never will." Dorian roared, torn apart by agony, the choice searing through him like fire. The battle erupted in the courtyard as soldiers swarmed. Eveline unleashed silver fire, her gown whipping in the storm winds. Rowan fought at her side, blade flashing. Seraphina appeared from shadows, her voice sharp. "Do you want victory or truth?" Eveline snarled, "Both." Seraphina shifted forms, weaving through enemies, her allegiance uncertain. Arion lifted his staff, unleashing arcs of lightning, his voice booming. "Strike as one or fall divided." Eveline's heart pulsed with Kael's voice inside her, faint but fierce. "I'm waiting." Tears mingled with rain as she tore through soldiers, every strike echoing with love turned to fury. Kael broke one chain, silver fire searing his wrists. He staggered to his feet, his body glowing like molten steel. Malrik snarled, conjuring crimson spears from thin air. "You are mine, body and soul." Kael roared, "My soul belongs only to her." The spears flew, slamming into stone, sparks exploding. Dorian stepped forward, sword raised, blocking the strike with trembling arms. Malrik's eyes widened, rage burning. Dorian shouted, "Not this time." For the first time in centuries, the scarred man turned his blade not against love, but for it. Kael's storm-gray eyes flared as the tide began to turn. The storm reached its peak as Eveline burst into the fortress, silver light flooding the chamber. She cried, "Kael!" His storm-gray eyes met hers, glowing with desperate love. Malrik hissed, "Together you burn brighter, and together you fall." Eveline raised her hands, fire surging, and Kael mirrored her, their powers colliding into a blazing storm. Dorian shielded them, roaring, "Finish it." Malrik's scream tore through the night as silver and crimson fire clashed, the walls shattering. Eveline's tears streamed as she whispered to Kael, "If this is the end, let it be ours." Their joined light blazed until everything drowned in fire. Silence fell over the shattered fortress, the storm fading into eerie calm. Eveline staggered to her feet, silver light dimming across her skin. She whispered, "Kael." Her voice cracked in the emptiness. From the rubble, Kael emerged, bleeding but alive, his storm-gray eyes locking on hers with weary devotion. Rowan dropped his blade, his face slack with relief, while Arion leaned heavily on his staff, his strength nearly spent. Eveline ran forward, collapsing into Kael's arms as his voice broke. "We won, but at what cost?" Tears fell freely, as the echoes of Malrik's scream faded into the night. Dorian stood apart, sword dripping with rain, his face shadowed with guilt. Eveline turned to him, her voice trembling. "You saved him when you could have damned him." His amber eyes flickered with pain. "Redemption is not mine, not after what I've done." Kael's voice rasped. "Then let it be hers to decide." Eveline stepped forward, touching Dorian's scarred cheek gently. "You are broken, but not lost." For the first time, Dorian's hardened expression cracked, grief flooding his features. He whispered, "If only love had been enough." He turned, vanishing into the ruins, a tragic shadow fading into dawn. The survivors gathered in the outer ruins as sunlight pierced the storm. Rowan exhaled shakily, muttering, "We're alive." Somehow. Seraphina emerged from shadows, her form steady, golden eyes glinting with unreadable calm. Eveline stiffened, her voice sharp, "Why did you stay?" The shapeshifter smirked faintly, "Because curses break, but debts remain." Arion studied her with wary eyes. "Then we are in yours." Seraphina tilted her head, cloak rippling. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you are in mine." She vanished into mist, leaving silence behind. Rowan shook his head, muttering, "I'll never understand her." Eveline whispered, "You're not meant to." Eveline and Kael stood among the ruins, their bodies bruised, their hearts still bound by pain. Kael brushed his thumb across her cheek, whispering, "Every lifetime, I feared this moment." Eveline's emerald eyes shone with tears, "And every lifetime I still found you." He smiled faintly, his storm-gray eyes softening. "Perhaps this time we'll find peace." Arion's voice carried from behind, "Peace is earned, not given." Rowan added with weary humor, "Then you'd better fight a little less in the next life." Eveline laughed through tears, clutching Kael tighter, the curse's echoes still burning but no longer defining them. As dawn broke fully, Eveline and Kael stood on the edge of the shattered fortress, their hands entwined. Eveline whispered, "The curse may return, but so will we." Kael leaned close, his voice steady, "Then let it come. We will meet it together." Rowan and Arion watched from behind, silent witnesses to a vow written in fire and love. The wind carried ash and blossoms alike across the sky, as if the world itself mourned and rejoiced. Eveline pressed her lips to Kael's, not in desperation but in defiance of fate. Their kiss lingered as the light rose higher, a promise carved into eternity.